Luis Armas, welcome to the show.
What's going on?
You like Luis? Is that okay? Or Luis? What do you prefer?
It really doesn't bother me, but Luis is the correct way of saying it.
But if somebody says Luis, it doesn't make you cringe or anything like that?
Not really.
No, you're fine. It's happened a lot, I'm sure. Huh?
Yes, it does. I've had all kinds of crazy ones.
And you are, any other pronunciations?
No, I mean, I've had some weird stuff, but...
Like what? What do they say?
Well, I think the worst one is Luisa.
Luisa?
Yeah, because my last name is Armas, so...
Okay.
I guess they kind of just roll it off. I don't know. It's weird. That one, yeah.
Okay. Now, you are here at St. Faustina on your pastoral year.
Yes.
Right? So how long will you be here?
Probably to, I'm guessing May. Yeah,
so almost a year.
To the summer, yeah.
Almost a year. Okay, that's cool. And then after that summer, you're going to go back into the seminary.
Yes.
Okay, and then you'll begin your classes all over again.
Yes.
Okay, so we have you full time here.
Yes.
And how's it been so far?
Man, it's been a blessing. This place is amazing. Didn't really know too much about it coming out here, outside of like KYA and some of the stuff that some of the seminarians I talked about. But to actually see the place with just one building.
A very small building, too.
Yeah, a very small building. But the amount of people that actually come here, the amount of families that are here, it's been impressive. I'm really impressed.
Wow. Yeah, so you've been all over the place here in Houston throughout your time as a seminarian, but where did you grow up?
So I grew up in North Houston, little like not 45 and 1960 area.
Okay.
Grew up there, and then I went to high school in Spring, Klein Oak in Spring. So I've been living out in Spring since high school.
Okay. And then during high school, is that when you had the first thoughts of becoming a seminarian?
Not really. I guess when I really thought about actually becoming a seminarian, it was in college.
Okay.
But I guess the idea of maybe being a priest came around growing up, going to St. John Newman under Monsignor Eugene Francis. But it was something like maybe, but that was a thought way out there. It wasn't
just one of those things.
I wasn't pursuing it for sure. Yeah.
Oh, I might want to become a priest, something like that, huh?
Yeah, like it could be an option. But
so you grew up Catholic?
Yes.
And both of your parents as well, cradle Catholics. So you had the whole Catholic upbringing.
Yeah, I guess for the most part, it was interesting because I grew up playing baseball my entire life.
Okay.
And so as I got older, I got more competitive, and eventually mass became less of a thing because it was getting in the way of the game. So
okay.
Yeah. So I did grow up cradle Catholic, but I stopped going to CCE after First Communion. So
okay, because it took a back seat to baseball, which took a lot of your time. So did you play in college baseball?
Yes, I played 3 years.
Okay, what position?
First base.
All right. So can you do the whole splits thing when you grab?
What's crazy. So I used to be able to do it, but what's crazy is I actually did it the other day, this past semester, playing with the guys at seminary. I just reacted, and my foot slipped and just kept going.
Oh no.
Yeah, I don't know how I didn't mess anything up. Thanks be to God. I'm just gonna say it's muscle memory, but yeah, apparently I can still do it.
All right.
Yeah.
So is there because I know there's a priest versus seminarian basketball game. Is there a baseball game?
No,
as well?
I wish there was.
There should be one.
I'd definitely be down.
Oh.
At least softball, that'd be fun.
Right? Yeah, softball at least, right?
Yeah.
Because if I'm not mistaken, didn't Father Chad used to play baseball as well?
Yeah, that guy's played everything. Yeah. But yeah, he played baseball. We had a couple. We actually have guys at seminary that knew, or at least back in the day, played.
Oh, so you can get some pretty good teams together then, huh?
Hopefully. But, I mean,
we got to explore that one.
We do.
Right.
It'd be nice.
Write a letter to the Cardinal.
No, because after COVID, I think he's not a fan of a lot of these sporting events. So.
Well, it's outdoors, Who knows?
It is outdoors, but if they all get COVID like the basketball guys did.
Is that what happened?
Yeah, I think there was a scare with the priest practicing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
That's pretty scary. Yeah. Yep. You got to worry about those types of things.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? Maybe when things get better.
Yeah,
we can, and there's less of a fear and all that. We can.
Yeah, I might end up being a priest by that point, but
there you go. You'll play on the priest team.
Yep.
All right. So you said you grew up, and then when did that first thought in college come in to be, pursuing priesthood?
Really was, my 2 years, because I was in Chicago for 2 years.
Okay.
So
baseball brought you there? Mm-hmm. So you got recruited by the college?
Yeah. I had a scholarship to go play out there. So
Okay.
I took off.
What school?
It's just a community college.
Okay.
It's called Oakton. But it was crazy because the night before I entered, that I took off over there, in my prayer, I made a promise to God that I was going to go to Mass every Sunday.
Okay.
It's just like, I guess, I just had this desire that I still wanted to continue to grow in my faith or whatever. Uh-huh. And I didn't really know what I was saying at that point. I just knew that I knew Mass was important.
Yeah.
So I had to go to it. And now that I was kind of, in the sense, free, I was going to make it part of my priorities to go out there every Sunday. And so I did. For the most part, I found a little parish not too far from the apartment I was staying at, and I just did it. It was there where, like, after I would pray, I would pray after receiving communion, right? And let's say, like, a little prayer, like, for example, Lord, continue to watch over my family, keep them safe, stuff like that. And then, like, I guess for me, it's like, Lord, make me a baseball player or make me a priest.
So it's one or the other.
Yeah, I don't feel like getting married. I just don't really see myself getting married. Not to say that, like, I don't like marriage or I don't think it's beautiful or anything like that. It's just I could see myself being in the big leagues. I can envision myself being a priest. I can envision myself doing certain things. But I never saw myself, like, being the dad with 4 kids or anything like that for some reason.
Okay. Did you have any girlfriends growing up?
I did in middle school.
Okay.
Once I went to high school, I was like, total commitment to baseball. Girls get in the way. Yeah. So it was, I basically stopped dating 9th grade or something like that.
Okay. And none ever since then. Even with baseball, none of the girls trying to warm up to a baseball player.
We talked. I talked, especially in Chicago. I talked to some girls, but it wasn't anything like, nothing serious.
So are you a Red Sox, White Sox fan?
Oh, no, Stros for life.
All right, there we go. Yeah. So you brought that over there with you?
Oh, yeah, and the Texans.
Okay, cool. Was there a point where you just said no to baseball, or did it kind of just fade out? It
was actually when I came back to Houston.
So after college?
Well, I played one more year here in Houston.
Okay.
Yeah, Texas Southern.
Okay.
So I had an opportunity to play there. And it was there where I was just like, I guess in the sense what happened was that was the worst year of my life. That was a year where I experienced a lot of, like, I guess, against the world kind of thing,
Really?
I wasn't really cool with my coaches. I wasn't really cool with my teammates.
Okay.
I was even butting heads with my dad, who had always supported me in baseball.
Okay.
So I felt like, it was me against the world kind of thing. And I knew I was just miserable. And then at that point, I was trying to continue to stay on base, going to Mass and stuff like that while playing. But I wasn't as consistent with going to Mass every Sunday as I was back in Chicago.
Okay.
And so it was all pretty, it was very chaotic. It was very, it was just a rough patch in my life. I would definitely say that was the roughest patch of my life.
Okay.
And so that made me kind of reevaluate. And I'll never forget this. It was after the last season. After the last game we had played. We were in the playoffs. We lost. And we drove back to the school because we were getting ready to empty out everything. Threw all my things in the car. And I drove to the garage on campus.
Okay.
And for some reason, I just had this desire. I'm just gonna drive all the way up. So I went all the way up to the roof, and so I was staring at the skyline of Houston.
Okay.
And I had heard at this point, about, like, the ignition kind of spirituality thing, where you make a list of, like, the do's, like, why. You make a list of why you should do something and why you shouldn't do something.
Okay.
So I did that for baseball, like why I should keep playing, and I made a list of, like, reasons why. And then I went to the other side, why I should stop playing. Okay. And that list just kept getting longer and longer and longer. And this other one just kind of stayed there.
Okay.
And so I was just like, yeah, I don't know what to do with this because my entire life was just oriented towards baseball. My degree in college was for baseball.
Really? What was that?
Business.
Okay.
Yeah, I was studying business management at the time.
Okay.
And so, like, what that was just kind of like maybe running a team, a few teams, or like a complex or something like that.
Okay.
Like for training and stuff like that. But yeah, so once I saw that this was like getting longer and like the possibility of me playing, no longer playing was a thing, I was just like, all right, Lord, you need to give me peace. Like, please give me peace to let go of baseball because I don't know what to do. And that was the first time I had ever asked for peace in my life.
Really?
Yeah, I had ever asked for, like, specifically asked the Lord, give me peace. And he gave it to me. I had never experienced so much peace up until that point. And so I was like, all right, I'm going to hang up the cleats, as they say. And yeah, that was it.
You knew it was the right thing.
Yeah.
Right away. So at that point, did you say, okay, I'm going to go into the seminary?
No. I still had a lot of work to do. See, that's the thing, because, like, so part of my even understanding what seminary was or what the priesthood was, it comes from my brother. I have 3 older brothers. I'm the youngest of 4. And so the third oldest decided to enter seminary back when I was like, I don't know, 8, 10 years old, somewhere around there.
Okay.
So he was out there for 3 years. And so in those 3 years, just seeing him, I guess, progress or just going through those years, it was very enlightening for me because, like, going to seminary, seeing all these guys that are thinking about studying to be priests.
Oh, so you'd visit every once in a while.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we went a couple I can't remember how many times, but. And so, like, and then he would invite guys to come over. So it was cool seeing, like, him and his friends hanging out, talking with my brothers, talking with my parents about God, about seminary, about things in general. So that kind of opened my eyes to what the process of priesthood is. But it was never something like for me kind of thing.
Okay, so it wasn't anything that helped you because it made it less of a foreign thing. It was more familiar.
Yeah.
It was normal.
I guess, yeah.
Did your brother, how far did your brother get?
He studied 3 years and then he left.
And then he discerned out. Okay.
Now he's married with 4 kids.
Okay, so he's the one with the 4 kids.
Well, yeah. It's crazy. I have like probably 20 kids, 20 nieces and nephews, something like that. I have a bunch. So
your other brothers are married and have kids too. All right. So
each of them have 4 kids.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I became an uncle at 7 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's how big the gap is, huh?
Yeah. So my oldest brother, I think, was like 18 at the time when I was born. And then I think the third oldest, this one that entered seminary, I think he was like 16.
Okay.
Something like that. And so, yeah, people used to confuse me with being my oldest brother's son and my parents being my grandparents.
Okay. You're going to have a lot of stories like Father Dat talking about his nieces and nephews.
Yeah. Oh, no. Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, and at that point, 2 of my brothers were expecting their daughters. And so I was born, and then 7 months later, they pop out too. And there I am. Can't barely even know anybody, and I'm already an uncle.
Did your brother give you any advice about seminary when you decided to go in?
Mostly just enjoy it, take advantage of what they offer you, kind of thing. Yeah, that was basically it. It wasn't anything, I guess, special.
Was there any one point where you said that you remember that you decided, boom, this is the point where I decided to go into seminary?
I mean, well, see, that's the crazy thing, because I don't know, like, I guess point-wise, what happened was, I guess to go into my vocation story, like, so during that season here in Houston, I was talking to my brother about possibly becoming a godfather.
Okay.
To one of his kids. And he's all like, well, you can't because you're not confirmed. And I'm like, well, what the heck is that? I don't even know what confirmation is.
Okay.
And so then he tells me that it's a sacrament that you need to be fully initiated into the church. You needed to be a godfather. And I'm like, well, why the heck don't I have that? He's like, because you stop going to CCE. You stop getting more preparation because of baseball.
Yeah, you prioritize baseball.
Yeah. And so when that happened, I was just like, well, what the heck, man? This isn't good. Like I was not happy with my parents at that point. I didn't go start an argument with anything, but I was not happy with what their decisions, I guess. And I mean, I didn't know any better either. And so that same year that I was playing, I entered RCIA. And so I was doing RCIA at my parish, now my home parish, St. Anne in Tomball.
Okay.
And it was during those 9 months of getting ready for confirmation that priesthood was still kind of, it was there, but it wasn't anything I was really pursuing.
Okay.
So it wasn't until that season ended, I was already confirmed, and I was like, all right, I'm not doing baseball anymore. So what do I do now? So I was like, I guess I got to start working. And so I started working, What'd you do? What kind of work did you find? So the first job I did was bounce houses, like those party supply stuff. Yeah. So I was delivering those houses, chairs, tables. It was good money, I guess, for a guy my age, at least for startup. But it was rough. Those were some long weekends.
Oh, I can imagine, because after the party, you've got to pack the whole thing up and put it away, make sure it's all clean.
And if it rains and stuff, it's going to be a hard one. And so I was doing that for a little bit. But I mean, so during that time, once I stopped playing baseball, I had all this free time that I had never had before. Oh, because I was always training, I was always practicing. I mean, you name it, I was doing it as far as baseball was concerned.
You realized how many hours there were in a day.
I realized how much more free time I guess how much time I'd actually committed to baseball, yeah. And so now that I wasn't committed to it, I was like, what do I do with all these hours? Yeah. So the first thing I did was I got into the gym, because I had always liked working out. Okay. You may not be able to tell from now seeing me, but back in the day, I was lifting, man. Sometimes I'd go up to 3 times a day. Really? Yeah, with some of my friends. We were crazy. Yeah, because I had so much free time. Yeah. Go back to the gym.
Is the gym like a safe space for you where you can just kind of zone out because you're...
Yeah, I guess. Because I had always wanted to be strong and like to... I guess hit home runs and stuff like that. But now that I had stopped playing baseball, I just kind of redirected that desire to get strong. I used to tell myself, I want to lift the world. Okay. I just want to lift the world. Which, I mean, yeah, take it however you want to take it. I just wanted to be strong as possible. Okay. I never took steroids or anything like that, people. But I was just lifting. And so, yeah, man. I mean, like I said, up to 3 times a day at times. Yeah, so I mean, once that happened, once I was doing lifting and stuff like that, I realized there was still more that I was desiring. I guess lifting, going to the gym took away some of the time, but it didn't fill the void. Yeah. Okay. And so I was like, well, I've never gotten close to any parish before. Let me try getting closer to St. Anne. Actually getting to know the people that I go to Mass with every Sunday. Yeah, all the faces that you see. Yeah. Because I see all these people, but I never say hi to them, never say bye to them. Don't know anybody's name outside of the pastor. And so I started using some of that time towards getting more involved in the church. Okay. Did anybody tell you that, or you just made that decision on your own? No, I made that decision. Okay. Yeah. And so I did what any guy that wants to get more involved in the parish would do. I became a Knight of Columbus. Okay. Because I figured that'd be a good way to start networking, seeing how I can volunteer at certain places. Yeah. Certain events. And so I was just, I was kind of just there, going to Mass. And then it just grew from there. It's amazing how God works, because I started going to Mass, started saying hi to some of these Knights that I was meeting. And then at some point, towards the end, this is the same year that I left baseball. Right? Okay. So I left baseball, I stopped playing baseball in the summer, and by October, I was invited to a retreat. Okay. And so I had never done a retreat before, so I was like, yeah, let me take advantage of it. Oh, this is something totally new for you. Yeah. What kind of retreat was it? Just a men's retreat. Okay. So this was October of 2015. So at the retreat itself, the theme was the Year of Mercy, because Pope Francis was about to begin the Year of Mercy. Okay. And so this was like a prep for what Pope Francis was asking for during that year. And it was going to be at Holy Name Retreat Center. And so I get off of work, go straight to Holy Name, and I just drive in, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, man, this place is so amazing. Like, I had never experienced that before. I drove in, and it's almost like the entire outside world just like was silenced.
Yeah.
Yeah, in a sense, like, experience peace. And just seeing the grounds, I was just like, man, this is beautiful.
Yes.
So, I mean, I didn't really know what to expect. But just walking into that, I was just like, man, this is gonna be beautiful. And so, like, we get there, we do the like initial stuff, talks, what the goal of the weekend is, kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Said hi to some of the knights and some of the parishioners from my parish there. So that kind of helped me kind of build more, fraternity, but also like more connections with parishioners. And and that was also the first night that I'd ever gone to the chapel to pray. Because every other time I had gone to church was for Mass.
Just for Mass. It wasn't just on your free time.
Yeah. I didn't really know that was a thing that you could go to church just to pray. Like, I don't know, like, just never thought about it. And so I just, I took advantage of the chapel there. Went, I sat in front of the Blessed Sacrament. I had my Bible with me. We were just sitting there for a little bit. And this was late. This was probably like 10, 11 o'clock. And I asked the Lord, like, Lord, I'm lost. What do you want me to do? Like, I don't know what to do with my life anymore. I don't want my degree. I mean, baseball was my entire life, and now
that was your identity.
Yeah, like, I don't want that anymore. I don't know what to do. Like, you gotta help me. And so I asked him, like, what is it that you want me to do? And so that was the thing. Like, that night was the first time I had officially, like, ever surrendered to God, in the sense of, like, surrendering my will to His. And I asked him straight up, what is it that you want me to do?
Because you thought you had it figured out before then.
Oh yeah,
right?
Like everybody, right? Like, I'm gonna play at this school. I'm gonna get this kind of stuff. I'm gonna get this. Then eventually I'll make it to the big leagues.
And you'll play for the Astros.
Yeah, I'll play for the Astros, whoever takes me, right? So that night I was sitting there for a little bit, and then I just opened up the Bible randomly. It opened up to Jeremiah chapter 1, and it was, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. I consecrated you to be a prophet to the nations.
Oh.
I was like, holy moly. Like, that just hit me. Like,
really?
Like, the Lord knows me. Like, just that reality. The Lord knows me. I mean, I didn't know what to do with that. I can't even explain it. Like, something about that, just reading those words, I knew God had something in store for me. And so the fact that, like, of just that reality of knowing that He knows me.
Yes.
It's like, oh, okay, so, like, Lord, what do you want me to do? So I asked him again. Sat there for a little bit, and then I ended up closing my eyes. And I saw myself vested like a priest with the collar. Yeah. I had the black collar. And then I saw myself vested like about to celebrate Mass. And this is at my home parish, St. Anne in Tomball.
Oh, you saw the...
I saw myself like behind the altar at St. Anne.
Wow.
Vested, like about to celebrate Mass. And I was leaning over the altar to kiss the altar. And as I kissed it, I'm raising my eyes back up. I'm raising up. And that's when I opened my eyes. And so I see the tabernacle there, and I'm just like, Lord, are you serious right now? This is what you want me to do?
So you had no thoughts?
Never like this. I had never saw myself being a priest in this sense. Especially, like at my home parish. No. So I was like, are you serious right now? This is what you want me to do? And I immediately gave him a million excuses, right? Like, Lord, I don't know my faith, right? Because I'm I guess, second grade dropout of CCE. So I don't know my faith. I still like women, right? I had a much more colorful vocab at that time. And so, I mean, blame it on baseball, whatever. But, like, the last thing I want to do is drop a bomb at the pulpit, right? You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like, so, I was just like, Lord, look at all these faults that I have.
Yes.
How the heck could you possibly be calling me? Like, I'm not worthy. I am the wrong guy.
Uh-huh.
And
there must be some mistake.
Kind of. I mean, I wasn't saying that God was making a mistake. I was just giving him the reasons why I don't think I should be doing this. Like,
okay.
You got the wrong guy kind of thing. And it was crazy because, like, I guess, the Lord heard all that. And I sat there for a little bit with that. And at some point later, I closed my eyes again. And it brought me back to a memory of my brother when he was leaving for seminary.
Oh.
Yeah, so this was... I want to say this was right before he was about to leave for the first time, because he went to Holy Trinity in Dallas.
Okay.
And so my parents and him were kind of like right there by the front door. He had just hugged him, gave him a kiss and everything because he was about to leave. And we had already hugged and stuff too. And after he had hugged my parents, he looked over towards me. I was off to the side over here. And he said, "One day you're going to go too."
Oh, wow.
And so I opened my eyes, and I was like, all right, Lord, if this is what you want me to do, I'll do it.
And did that really happen? That was a real memory?
Yeah. As far as I know. I mean,
wow.
I don't think it was a vision. I think it was, this is a memory.
Wow.
And so I was like, all right, Lord, if this is what you want me to do, I'll do it. But you have to lead me, because I have no idea where I'm going with this. Like, no idea whatsoever. And so the next morning, after that, went to bed. Woke up the next morning. I spoke to one of the priests there at Holy Name. And I told him, I had this experience. I think God's calling me to the priesthood. And so he was like, "Oh, that's good." And well, so I went the rest of the weekend, and I told some of my friends there, what had happened that night. And so they started supporting me. I mean, it was cool, but I mean, it's like, I don't know what to do with this.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And so at the end of that retreat, I was talking to that same priest that I had talked to, that I had told that I was discerning, or that this idea of priesthood came up, and he invited me to these. It's called Discover the Road Less Traveled. It's these meetings that are hosted at St. Mary's.
Okay.
For guys like me that are thinking about priesthood.
Okay.
And so, I think it was going to happen like 2 weeks after this retreat. He's all like, you should go check it out, see what they have to offer you. And so I, went back to work and was waiting for that day. I think it was like a Thursday. Was waiting to go over there. I ended up driving over there to St. Mary's, and this is the first time I'm ever on that property, and it's like, immediately it hit me too how beautiful the campus is. And it was crazy because I park, and I'm walking up the steps, and immediately I feel like a sense of I'm at home. Like I'm home. I'm here. And then that just kind of dawned on me, man, I could see myself being here one day. And then the first thing I do is I go into the chapel. Beautiful chapel. I don't know if you've ever been over there.
No, I haven't.
Oh, you got to check it out. It's beautiful. I mean, the whole campus is beautiful, but the chapel itself is beautiful. We meet up for prayer, and then we go to the place where we're having our meeting. And then I see the vocation director, who happens to be Father TJ.
Okay.
Who was classmates with my brother.
Okay.
Yeah, so if my brother would have continued, they would have been ordained together. And I hadn't seen him since my brother left seminary. But now here I am walking into a room, and he's right there. So immediately we recognized each other. It was just man, and I told myself, if this isn't a sign from God, I don't know what is, right?
Because you already had 2 signs. From those 2 visions that you had.
Yeah.
And then this is the third one.
There's the third one.
Comes and hits you.
Yes. And so it was just all right. And we went through the meeting. I don't remember what we talked about that night, but it was a once a month meeting that we were doing with this Discover the Road. And so I was going faithfully every month. And so this was in October still. And this summer they had a discernment retreat at seminary hosted by Father TJ.
Okay.
And so I signed up to go. And at that point, I mean, I went back and I went through the weekend. And after that retreat, I was like, yeah.
You were all in already?
Yeah, I was like, all right, I know the Lord is calling me.
Okay.
But I had a meeting with Father TJ, and I was like, look, I had my first encounter with God, I guess, in October. I feel the confirmation, but it's barely December. It's only 2 months.
Yeah.
Right. I need more time. Like this can't be something I just rush into. Right? He's like, yeah, that's good discernment. Go ahead and go do your thing, and just continue to come to these meetings and stay close to the Lord, stay close to the sacraments, stuff like that. All right, cool.
Okay.
So I was like, look, I'm gonna apply, just not yet.
Yes.
So I went back to work, and at that point, I was like, I should probably do my best to get the degree. So I started working and going to school so I can finish the degree.
How much time did you have left in your degree at that point?
About a year and a half.
Okay.
Yeah. So
not much.
Not much, but I started kind of trying to cram to get, like, putting more hours on myself to get more, to get it processed quicker. Which was a bad decision because it was horrible. There were nights where I wasn't sleeping much. I mean, I was still working.
Yeah.
I was still working full time. And yeah, going to school full time. So I mean, and yeah, my grades were definitely not the best that year or that semester. Because after that semester, I was like, nah, I can't do this. Like, I need a.
And so, what did you do? You went into the seminary after that?
No, I did that year. It took me almost 2 years to get through it.
Really?
Because I slowed down on my degree plan.
Okay.
Instead of because like I said, I try to cram as much as possible within 1 year.
Yeah.
And so I went the opposite route, and I was just like,
Stretched it out.
Yeah, I'm just gonna take like maybe 2 classes a semester.
Okay.
That way I can pay it off since I was working.
Yes.
And so I don't overkill myself with like lack of sleep and stuff like that. But then even after that, I was just like, nah, I can't be here. I don't want this degree. I don't want to be at this school. No, nothing against the school, but it's just like, I know this is not where the Lord's calling me.
Okay.
And so at that point, I told Father TJ, look, I have this much left, I think. Can I just enter seminary?
Rather than forcing to finish something that just wasn't meant for you.
Yeah. And so he's like, yeah, sure, go ahead. So I applied, and
you went through the whole process and you got accepted.
And I got accepted.
And then once you entered the seminary, was it everything you expected it to be?
No, because
really?
So that was the thing too, like, part of my discernment, like during that year and stuff, I was still going to these monthly meetings. And, the St. Joseph's, where I ended up going to seminary, offers this this come and see, is what they call it. This weekend where you just go visit, see what it's like. Father TJ had invited me, so I was like, yeah, I'm down. And we went, and I had never been to any other seminary outside of Holy Trinity. So I go over there. It's in Louisiana, right? 6 hours away, basically. And it's like, I call it the Catholic Hogwarts. Because you drive in, and like in the movie scene of Harry Potter, you remember like you see the big old castle, and they're on the lake and stuff like that. Well, it's the same thing here. It's like you're driving in, there's the lake right there, and then you see this huge abbey, this huge church. Okay. And I'm just like, man, this place is beautiful.
Catholic Hogwarts.
Yeah. So I was like, man, this place is amazing. Just seeing how beautiful the abbey was. I'm like, man, I could see myself coming here too. And so I spent that weekend like going through, listening to talks, getting tours of the seminary, and getting tours of the church itself, the abbey. And got close with some of the Houston guys there at that time. And so at the end of that, because I mean, there's probably like 6 of us that went that. I can't remember how many guys, but there's a couple of us from the group that actually went to do this. So on our way back, Father TJ's we were like debriefing our experience. And I was like, look, Father TJ, if I get accepted, I hope I come here.
Really? You didn't want to go to Dallas where your brother went?
Nah, because I remember, I barely remember, but I was like, seeing this place compared to from what I remember of Holy Trinity, I'd rather go over here. Because there was something like, it was much more peaceful, I would say.
Okay.
And I guess, it just drew me to it.
Is it like the one in Dallas where you're at a regular university, or is this really
No, everything's on campus right there.
Okay, so this is all Catholic. These are all seminarians.
Yes.
Okay. So you don't have to worry about outside influences or anything like that. It's all just secluded.
Yeah.
And you preferred that?
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, like, that was the first time I ever encountered monks, right? This is a Benedictine monastery. And so, I mean, you hear about it all the time. Like, that's a medieval thing. That's how I pictured it. Like, these are these medieval monks that just I don't know, eat bread all day and drink water, maybe make beer, who knows. And and then like I go and I see this place, and like they originally started that monastery, and part of their work was to teach.
Okay.
To train kids to be like train seminarians to be priests. And so that was also kind of like man, I think that's I mean, because like the Benedictine spirituality is so beautiful, right? Ora et labora, like praying and work. And so like man, that's the life of a priest, right? Like everything that you do is an offering to the Lord, right? Like you're bringing others to Christ. You're being Christ for others. And so like just having that mentality, like everything that I do, Lord, I offer it up to you as my prayer, stuff like that. And
Did you ever think about becoming a monk?
For like 5 minutes. Okay. I was just like, I think it'd be cool, but no. Okay. I'd rather be back. I'd rather be back in Houston.
Okay.
And two, it was just like, I think being out and about, actually like being with people, because I mean, being a monk, you're very secluded, right?
Yes.
It's just you and your community. Yeah, you have maybe some contact with the public, but it's mostly you and the other guys.
So you'd prefer the parish life?
Oh, yeah. Be with the families, marriage prep, kind of stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah, so
at that visit, you were all in already?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I was ready. And so, I mean, and that was the thing, too, like, when I look back on it, I always have knowing myself, I have this tendency of just like, I go all in for something. Like, when I go in, I go all in.
Okay.
But I knew doing something like this, I could go all in, but it was an all in that I wasn't in control of. Right?
Okay.
I had to learn to start taking things day by day.
Okay.
Like the final meeting with Father TJ and the group, what do they call it?
The board?
The board. Was like at this point, at this month, this day, whatever. So I had all this time that I still had to like continue to process and stuff like that. And I was just like, yeah, I mean,
it's out of your hands.
Yeah, it really is. And so I was just going to mass consistently. And that was the thing too, I mean, because the Lord continued to work through that period before I entered seminary. Because and that's just the other thing too, like later on that next year, I probably in January or something, I went, scheduled a meeting with my pastor, and I told him, like, I think the Lord is calling me to be a priest. And that was probably like the first time I had a bad reaction to that.
Really?
Yeah, it was kind of weird.
What happened?
My pastor it was a very negative response in the sense of like, yeah, all people do is just complain, and they do this, they do that. It's like it's always a pain in the butt, and
okay, it's
tough
very
being
stressful. It's tough being a pastor,
kind of thing. I was like, well, I guess I'm not going to be a parish priest, and I'm going to go religious life or something. And so, even then, like,
do you think he was trying to give you the reality of the situation if you become a parish priest, or was he in just a spot that was? He was in a tough spot at that time. I
think with him, it was just he wasn't happy.
Okay.
Now that I look back on it, right, like at that point, I was just like, man, priesthood or parish life, that's rough. Right? Like
it can be rough from what we hear.
Yeah, never mind. I'm going somewhere else, kind of thing. So, yeah, like, but then when I was discerning religious life, I mean, I didn't really know anything about religious life. I thought priesthood was priesthood. I didn't really know there's just like, I guess, a distinction between the two. And so when I went back to the Passionists, I was kind of talking to them because that was the only group I really knew.
Okay.
But even then, I was kind of like, I know this isn't where the Lord is calling me.
Okay.
So I was going to these, like, I guess, come and sees with them.
Okay.
But it wasn't anything. It wasn't drawing me.
Okay.
It was drawing me to the priesthood, but it wasn't drawing me to them.
Okay.
And so at that point, I just kind of, I guess through prayer, I was like, yeah, I think this was just a bad experience. Priesthood doesn't have to be like that.
Okay.
Or parish life doesn't have to be like that.
Yeah.
And so I went back to discerning with the diocese. And
you think it was good that you had that just so you could think about it again, just so you could reconsider?
I mean, I guess now that I look back on it, if anything, it gives me more it makes me more passionate towards being a priest. 'Cause it's like, no, priesthood doesn't have to be like that.
Okay.
Right. To be a pastor doesn't mean that you're just gonna go through crap every day. Right. Like there is a lot of beauty.
Yes.
To parish life. There's a lot of graces. There's a lot of happy moments that happen that come with being a parish priest. Right. Uh-huh. And so. Yeah, I mean, everything has its ups and downs, right? But you don't always have to. I mean, you don't have to focus on the downs.
That's true.
Like I remember Father TJ had told us, like, after that first meeting that I had with them and that Discover the Road, that like stay close to the sacraments, go to mass every Sunday. I was like, well, I mean, I can't do that because I work, right? So, but that was the thing too. Like, I didn't know mass was a thing every day. First of all, that had never clicked for me.
Okay, so just the same way you didn't know that you could go to church and pray.
Yeah, like there's mass every day. That's cool. But then it's like, okay, well, mass is probably like an hour plus long, just like a typical Sunday mass. And I was, so that was the other thing too. Like there were some parishes not too far from where I lived, and that weren't too far from my work. They were in the middle between the house and my job.
Okay.
And so I was like, yeah, they had mass at 8:30, I think, and I had to clock in at 10.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, maybe I can go, but I'd be pushing it if I get out at 9:45 or whatever. Right? And then one day I was just like, and I would drive by the church every day, St. Edward's.
Okay.
I drive by every day. And at one point I was just like, hey, you know what, screw it. If I show up late, I never show up late to begin with, so one strike wouldn't hurt me.
Okay.
So I pull in and go to mass. Lo and behold, it's 9 o'clock. I'm like, holy moly. It was 30 minutes of mass.
You were expecting a whole hour.
Oh, man, I took off from there, man. I was going to mass every day at that point. I was like, this is so beautiful. So, just like the way the Lord was giving me these graces, right? And even then, that set me on fire even more, because I would receive the Eucharist and just seeing Father at that point celebrating mass. Like, yes, I could see myself doing this for the rest of my life. And that was the thing too. So like, and even prior to that, I had another, I guess, call it a mystical experience, this prayer, like this experience with the Lord where He revealed Himself to me again.
Okay.
And that one's definitely like, I don't know. I would definitely say like that was the first time I really felt the Lord speak to me. Like, cause I saw the visions in the earlier, like the imagery of the other encounters I had with God. But this one was the first time I had heard His voice.
What'd He say? It
was crazy because like, so during all this period, after I spoke with my pastor and he gave me that experience, I stopped going to him, obviously, for more advice. And so I started talking to the deacons at the parish.
Okay.
And I was kind of telling them, look, I think the Lord is calling me to be a priest. Like, what should I do? Right? Like, how should I get involved? Or what should I be doing at the parish to kind of, I guess, help me get more involved or whatever? And one of the deacons set me up with a lady to get me spiritual direction. And so I was like, all right, cool, I'll do that. So I started meeting this lady, and she gave me a couple books to read and stuff. So this was even before my discovery of daily mass.
Okay.
I was going to this park before work. I would go to the park like at 8 o'clock or maybe a little earlier. I'd pray a rosary. I'd read this book that the lady had given me.
Okay.
And I would read the Bible. And it was mostly this, same thing as I was doing with, I did that night. Opened it randomly, and I would just pray with it.
Okay.
And just read whatever the Lord was telling me at that point. Well, there was this one day in February, and I had opened it up. So I said this little prayer: Spirit of the living God, speak to my heart your word. And I opened it up to this, I don't know, I want to say like Sirach or something like that. And I was reading it, but nothing was really hidden.
Okay.
And then like the wind started kind of blowing a little bit. And so it started moving the pages. And I was like, well, the Holy Spirit is the wind, right? Like the scripture talks about the the Holy Spirit being like the wind that
Yes.
that hovered over the waters and stuff like that. So I just let the Bible go, and it flipped to Daniel, chapter 10, and all right, and that's at that point the wind died down. So I was like, all right, let's do it. So I just started reading, and I read chapter 10, and I don't remember the exact verse. Like I don't know word for word like a Jeremiah one, but it was like do not fear, Daniel. From the moment you decided to what's the word? How was it? From the first moment that you decided to like do the will of God or something like that, your prayer was heard. Something like that. Like your prayer was heard. But just reading that, it wasn't my voice. Like from the first moment you made you revealed yourself to God, or like you made yourself visible to God or something like that, your prayer was heard. I don't remember, something like that. But just reading that, I was just like, that's not me. Like that's not the mind voice that reads, right? Like that was a whole nother voice.
You heard it.
I heard something. Like that was not
wow.
It wasn't me reading, it was someone speaking to me.
Wow.
And so I was just like, and I was going crazy. Like
you thought somebody might have been there.
Well, I was just like, I was making sure people weren't like around, because I was
somebody
about to
reading
scream,
over your shoulder.
Yeah, or like,
was it dark still, or no?
No, it was in the morning.
Okay.
Yeah, like it was. I was just kind of like. I mean, there was nobody there, but I was like, man, did y'all hear this kind of thing? Did you hear what I heard? And at that point, I was just like, oh, like. How, like what? God just spoke to me. Like that's crazy. And so I like, the people that know me know that I get pretty passionate. I get pretty hyped.
Yeah.
And so I got hyped. Like I wanted to flip the table. I got hyped. I wanted to, man, but I didn't know who to share it with, right? So I'm just kind of like random. I'm just this random guy at the park bench, like staring at a lake. And so at that point, I mean, I went back and I wrote down, because I had a little journal that I was kind of writing my thoughts and prayers down and stuff. And so I wrote down the actual verse, and I wrote down what I was experiencing.
Wow.
And that's just like, at that point, I was like, there is nobody in this world that can tell me God doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Nobody. Like, I don't care what kind of scientific experiment you do, what kind of theory you gave me. There is no way that you can prove to me God doesn't exist, because I had just heard his voice. I had just experienced him.
Yes.
And so that gave me even more motivation and more like certainty towards my decision to enter seminary. Yeah. Like priesthood was definitely it. And so, I mean, at that point, I was just like, and so that's the thing. Like I carry that moment till this day. Right. And like when I give talks to kids, or when I give talks to other people, or when I even have like encounters, one-on-one encounters. Like, like that's one of the biggest things that I emphasize to people is like, the Lord is real, and he desires to be with, like he desires a relationship with you. Right. And he will reveal himself to you, but you have to know how he operates. Right. Because he does speak to you through scripture. Yes. But he's not going to speak to you through scripture if you don't open the Bible. Right? He's not going to speak to you through his word if you don't go to mass. Yeah. Right? And so like just showing the people that, and like just, and telling them like what I said earlier, like what I just said. There is nobody in this world that can tell me God doesn't exist, because I experienced him. And so like when I have these talks with kids, it's like, and you can experience that too. Like each of us has that opportunity to encounter him in that sense, to have that faith, to have that confidence to say, God is real, and he's revealed himself to me. That's crazy. So after you wrote that in that journal, what happened then? I mean, like I said, I was still going crazy, man. Like I really wanted to tell somebody, but I didn't, like at that point, I didn't really have any like church friends. Yes. Outside of like the guys from the nights and stuff like that. But even then, I mean, I didn't think they would know what. Was that the point where you said, okay, I'm going to become a priest now? Or no, because that had happened the night that I had the other encounter. Oh, yes, that's right. Yeah. So, I mean, like, it was just building up from that point. Okay. Like, that was a stepping stone. That night back in October was a stepping stone. It's crazy because, you know, it's even, like, it blows my mind how the Lord works. Because that night, back in October, happened to be my nephew's birthday. And I didn't go to his birthday party because I went to this retreat.
Okay.
So, like, his birthday is my anniversary of, like, my first encounter with God. Which is crazy.
You'll remember that day.
I'll always remember that day. And I always remember the February day. It was 4 days before my birthday.
Okay.
So, like, yeah, like, just, so, like, these two moments, like, solidified not just my vocation, but, like, my desire to be a saint, my desire to give God my entire life, give him my everything, right? Like, at that point, I was 100% for the church, for the Lord. And so, yeah, I mean, at that point, like, and like I look back on it now, and like those experiences, and like, right, look, the Lord gives you these moments, not for yourself, but so that you can share them. And so, like, when I look back on my life now, I see that it was, God didn't do this because he wanted to prove to me that he's real or whatever. He gave me those moments so that I can share them with others, to help others on their path, on their journey with him, in their relationship with him.
It's not about you.
It's not about me, right? And so, yeah, like I said, like, I heard his voice. I know it's real.
Yeah.
And it just gives me this, I'm like, man, I'm getting pumped right now just thinking about it, right? Like, yeah, giving this, like, when I gave these talks and just telling them, like, God desires to do the same thing with you. He speaks to you. He speaks to you. The problem is that you don't listen, kind of thing, when I talk to certain people. And I mean, it also depends on the person, right? Like,
yeah.
But like, just that reality, like, a lot of times we think that God is just has abandoned us, has ignored us, or just whatever, he doesn't care, whatever you want to say. But it's like, no, the Lord isn't the one to blame. It's you that doesn't understand how, like I said, how he operates. You don't understand how he moves. Okay. How he reveals himself to you. Once you have those secrets, like once you start seeing that, how the Lord operates in each of our lives, then yeah, you open up your eyes to that reality that the Lord is using this moment right now to draw you closer to him, or the Lord is using this moment right now to show you what he desires from you, or stuff like that. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, yeah. And so that was, for me, like, those were concrete moments for me to be able to share that with others and to, like, emphasize more and more the way the Lord works.
So then you enter the seminary. What was that like, the whole experience?
Well, going back to, like, when you had asked me if what I thought seminary would have been what I expected. No, because I was going in there thinking that all these guys are going to be with prayer hands and maybe never talk to a girl in their life, or I don't know. I definitely saw myself being the odd man out because, like, I mean, you think I'm hairy now. You should have seen me before I entered seminary. Really? Oh, yeah. I had longer hair to the shoulders. I had a longer beard. Probably went to my pin right here. Because I was a free guy. Right? I was just working, lifting. Really wasn't doing much. I was growing out my hair because I was going to donate it. Okay. Yeah. So when I started the process of applying for seminary, our teachers are like, all that's going to have to go. And so I was like, yes, sir, don't worry. I'm just going to grow this out a little bit more so I can donate it. And don't, like, you don't have to worry about me having to cut my hair. Yeah, so I mean...
So you had the whole apostle look with the long hair and
or
the beard.
Or the homeless, however you want to put it. Some people would. Yeah. I used to tell kids when I was at St. Anne before I entered seminary, and I had the big beard on. I used to tell them that I had a pet bird that lived in there. I think I called him Andy or something like that. I can't remember. And so when I finally shaved it, like when I trimmed it, because I trimmed it very short, they're like, what happened to the bird? Or what happened to Andy? Whatever his name is. I was like, I told him he had to find another home. And so, yeah, like...
You met the guys in seminary.
Yeah, so when I'm going to seminary, I'm like, all right, I'm just thinking, right, like, I'm probably going to be the oldest guy there. I'm the only one who's probably, like, worked or had other, like, I guess, worldly experiences than most of these guys. They're actually going to know their faith. I'm still learning my faith. Right? Like... things like that. So I wasn't really expecting them to be I guess, the average dude. Right. And so, yeah, like at that point, I was working on my colorful language, and as mentioned earlier, I figured I was gonna be the only one that ever accidentally said things I shouldn't say. But then I get there, and it's like, nope, guys will always be guys.
Just a bunch of regular guys.
There's just a bunch of regular guys. Yeah, some of them pray, some of them don't. They definitely don't walk around like this. They still listen to the same music that I was listening to prior to. They still like movies. They still like sports. And I figured like sports was gonna be something I kind of had to trail away from, because I was very big into sports too. Not just I mean, yeah, I love watching baseball, but I was also watching the Texans more. I was watching the Rockets more. And so I figured I was gonna have to like cut back on that so that I can focus more on reading or praying and stuff like that, going to church. Right? Like my Sundays were gonna be all church and no more Texans kind of thing. But nope. I get over there and everybody's still doing all that, watching college football, watching the NFL, watching the MLB. All right, I guess I can keep doing it. And so, but even then, I still cut back. Yeah, so I mean, yeah, going to classes, that was different, because they were making us study philosophy, and never really studied that before. I didn't really know what it was. And yeah, that hit me hard. Like, it slapped me in the face. Like, oh my gosh, I don't understand what I'm reading. I don't understand what I'm doing here. I like, Lord, you called me here. So, and I've never been the brightest student in the class. I was like, Lord, you got to give me the grace to get through this, because I don't understand anything. And so, yeah, that was definitely the worst semester I'd ever had, I guess GPA wise. Like, and it was because of that. Like, because I was taking like maybe 4 or 5 philosophy classes all at once. It was like an intro to philosophy with ancient philosophy, with logic, and like this other, I can't remember.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was just like all this philosophy hitting at me at once. It's like, all right, read all this. And I'm reading Aristotle, I'm reading Plato, and I don't understand anything that these guys are saying. I'm like, and these guys are over here having these like amazing discussions or like conversations. I'm like, why can't I understand this? So I mean, I guess like in general, like wanting to give up. Like, all right, I'm just gonna stop reading.
Was that the point where you almost?
Not even, because at that point I was just like, Lord, you better throw some extra grace on this side, because like in seminary they talk about the 4 pillars, right? There's the human, intellectual, pastoral, and spiritual.
Okay. And
so entering seminary, when they were talking about that, I was like, well, intellectual is definitely gonna be the lowest, because I just never. Like, I was always an A and B student, but I was never that guy that really put much effort. Like, even in college and everything, I was just getting by so I could keep playing.
Okay.
I made sure I passed my classes. I made sure I did my homework, not because I wanted to learn the stuff. I did it so I can keep playing on the field.
Okay, so you never really applied yourself. That's what it was.
And that's the thing too. Like when I tell people that I have a business, well, that I was studying business, they're like, "Oh, well, you should know a lot about administration." I'm like, nope, nope, I don't know anything, because I didn't pay attention as much as I should have or I could have.
Okay. You just got by.
I just got by. And so at the end, that was another struggle with me, because I had just gotten by my entire life. I'm like, I should probably start learning now. Like, I really need to take in what's being given to me, so that I can, because I'm going to have to use it at some point. And so I never activated that part. So it was like, okay, learning's a lot harder than I thought it'd be.
You had to build all those study habits and all of that.
Yeah. Oh man, it was rough. I remember, man.
Did it take, how long did it take before you actually?
Oh, I'm still learning. I'm still learning. It's crazy, because like, yeah, I went through those 2 years. Like the second year did get easier, or even the second semester got, I guess, a little easier. I got more used to it.
Yeah,
I got used to it, right? I got used to the language. I got used to like what the professors are expecting of me, stuff like that. But I mean, it was still hard. And then coming into St. Mary's, it was the same thing, right? Because like one of my biggest fears with entering seminary was having to write books. I mean, writing papers. Oh no, God willing, I never write a book. Writing papers, because I never liked writing.
Okay.
But I knew that if I went into seminary, I was just going to be writing papers.
Yeah.
So I was like, Lord, you're gonna have to help me here, because that's a big cross for me. And yeah, thanks be to God, I'm somehow surviving. and I'm actually learning. It's like, wow.
So how many years were you in Louisiana?
2 years.
And then you came here to St. Mary's in Houston. And how many years?
I did 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah, first theology, second theology, and now I'm currently on pastoral year.
Okay.
So it's been a total of 5 years of, or I guess this is my 5th year of formation.
All right. And then how many years do you have to look forward to now?
So once I finish this year, I'll go through another year of school, of classes, third theology. At the end of third theology, so that next summer, I'll be ordained a deacon.
Okay, then I'll go, diaconate year.
Then I'll get through the diaconate year and then priesthood. So it's coming up.
Oh, you're almost at the home stretch.
Yeah, man.
So it's really just one more year of classes.
Well,
or two because of the diaconate year.
Yeah, but even diaconate year is more like practicum kind of stuff. So you're learning how to hear confessions. You're learning how to celebrate mass. You're learning
all of those classes.
Things like that.
So, but the actual academic, it's just a year or so.
Yeah.
Wow. So you're almost there, huh?
Yes. It's crazy.
Has the past 5 years gone by really quickly? Or?
Yes. And that was the thing too, man. Like when I look back on it, because initially when I was entering seminary, I was like, man, 7 years from now, that's forever and a half away. But and that's the thing too. Like one of the things that the Lord really had to teach me was like, it's not about getting to it's not about making it to the finish line. The Lord isn't concerned about you making it to the end. The Lord is focused on the day by day, the moment by moment aspect. So it's like at this moment, in this moment, in this moment, are you with me? Are you letting me lead you, kind of thing? And so that was the approach I knew I had to take. Like I have to take this day by day, even if I discern out, which I never had. I never struggled with that. Thanks be to God, never.
So no moment where it was a make or break moment, nothing.
No.
Wow.
There were moments of weakness, I would say, like, the intellectual stuff. Like, man, I don't know if I could keep writing these. Like, if I can't even understand these intro classes, how do I expect to know, like, the higher things in life kind of thing, right? But it wasn't something like where, like, I was talking to my spiritual director saying, like, I might have to leave to go study more or something like that. It was just kind of like, I know this is where the Lord's calling me to. And that was the thing. I mean, I think the Lord, he did that because he knows that I needed that. Not to like brag to other guys who were struggling with their vocation, but like the Lord gave me this assurance that this is where he's calling me because he knows that I can use that to focus on other things, right? One, focusing on getting, having better study habits, working on other areas in my life, I guess. But also just the fact that like having that assurance it's a good foundation for me to continue to evangelize, to continue to preach the good news, right? Like, so I didn't have to have in the back of my mind, maybe I'm not called to do this, right? I could just talk about the Lord. I could just talk about my relationship with Christ with more confidence, with more with more certainty. And so, like even to this moment, like, because a lot of times, like for guys in seminary, pastoral year is also a make it, break it kind of year. Really? Yeah, because like, I mean, you're, I guess in a sense, out with the people. Yes. There's still beautiful women out there, right? So,
is that ever an issue with you?
Oh yeah, I mean, there's beautiful women all over the place, right? Especially here at St. Mary.
But I mean, like some of our past guests, deacons and priests, they've said that the idea of celibacy was very difficult for them to get over. Was that a sticking point with you? Was that a tough one for you to get over? Yeah, I guess it was like. I guess the biggest I had more concern with like understanding what celibacy is, in the sense of like. Why does the church ask us to be celibate? Because like going into seminary, I was just focusing on the practical, right? Like, yeah, it gives you more time to be. It's easier for you to wake up at 3 a.m. and go visit your parishioner at the hospital if you're by yourself, versus having a wife and 6 kids that you got to attend to. Yeah, how are they going to get to school or that type of thing? Stuff like that. Or like especially during this moment of COVID. If one of the kids gets COVID, how am I supposed to go to the hospital and like go attend to a parishioner? Yeah. So that was the mentality I had with this is why the Lord is asking us to be, or this is why the church is. This is why the church is asking us to be
celibate. But understanding the theology behind it, right? Like, and so as I grew more and like as I was studying this in formation, the actual formation classes I was taking, and seeing that like the Lord calls us to be celibate, calls the priest to be celibate because He wants an intimate relationship with you that is able to witness to the others, right? Like, so marriage makes visible the relationship we hope to have with the Lord in heaven. But the priesthood is pointing to the eschaton in the sense that to the end. Like ultimately, our union is with God. And so I'm beginning that process now. And I'm showing the people of St. Faustina, I'm showing everybody that I encounter as a seminarian, but also as a future priest, that our ultimate goal, our ultimate hope is to be united to God. And so I need to start cultivating that now. And so as I started learning that more and more, I was just more appreciative of it. It's just like, man, that's so beautiful, right? That the Lord has called me to be able to be a witness to that. That first of all, that the Lord has called me to such a radical relationship, right? But also, like I said, like it's not about me. The relationship that He's calling me to is so that I can bring Him to others.
Yes.
So I become an instrument of His love, of His peace, of His mercy, for the sake of the other, not for my sake. And so, like, as all of that was clicking, I mean, like, this took 2+ years, right? Like, because St. Ben's really, really broke me in the sense, they really bent me, especially the formation classes I was taking. It's like understanding what marriage is, understanding what does it mean to be a man? What does it mean to be chaste? What does it mean to be virtuous? Because even then, like, yeah, virtue wasn't a thing that I'd ever talked about. So actually learning about some of the virtues and like what it means to actually live them out and stuff, it's like, yeah, there was a lot of forming there. The Lord was definitely bending, breaking, conforming me to what He was calling me to. And that was the thing. Like I guess I wasn't 100% about it, but I would tell the Lord every moment, like, or every morning or at moments of prayer, like, Lord, conform me to Your will. Help me to love the people the way that You love them. Let me be an instrument. Make me the man that You're calling me to be. So I was giving them the permission. But I mean, yeah, it's one thing to say, it's another thing to do, right? Once you go through the crucible, it's like, man, this sucks. But I got to do it, kind of thing.
So, talking about, encountering beautiful women, did you ever encounter during your seminary days, what they call chalice chippers, or the women who are trying to land a seminarian and pull him into married life?
I don't think so. I don't think I've encountered. I mean, I have encountered beautiful women, but none of that are seeking a relationship with me or anything like that. No.
Okay. Any
but
of your fellow seminarians?
Maybe. I'm thinking, at least some of the closest friends that I have, I don't think it's happened to them. Maybe they've had encounters with girls that were like, maybe think twice. Like, man, it'd be nice to be able to spend the rest of my life with a girl like her or something like that. But I mean, to this day, most of them are still there. Most of my close friends that have had experiences like that, they're still in seminary. So, did
you have any close friends that dropped out of seminary?
Yeah, one at St. Ben's.
What was that like? Was that rough?
I knew it was good discernment.
Okay.
And we still keep in touch, right? I love the dude to death. But man, we had some good conversations. There were moments where I know he was struggling with his vocation, like whether the Lord was calling him and stuff. And I kind of just like sit him down and we just like talk. I let him vent. And I tell him like what I'm seeing from him. At one night I just told him like, look, man, I think at this point you just need to admit that God isn't calling you to this. Right. He used seminary not to make you, not to lead you to the priesthood. He used seminary in a way to like kind of to draw you closer to Him. Because that's the benefit of going to seminary too, right? Like, because they tell the guys that are thinking about priesthood or whatever, seminary is where you really, really discern. right? Because you're offering, you're dedicating your whole life to prayer, study. I mean, your whole life is centered around God.
Yes.
Right? You're going to mass every day.
Yeah.
You're close to the sacraments. You're reading about God. You're studying stuff, theology and stuff like that. This is the time to where you really ask the Lord, what is it that He's calling you to? And so, like, taking advantage of that, right? Like, how I understood it as I was there at St. Ben's was that the Lord first calls you into a relationship with Him. He wants you to get to know who He is. So that then you can start going out and doing the things that He's asking you to do. Because, I mean, in general, right? Like, you can't spend the rest of your life with a person if you don't know who he is or she is. Yes. Right? Like, think about it with marriage. You can't say yes to a woman, or the woman can't say yes to your proposal if they don't know who you are. And so, and a lot of times I think we have this, we like to miss steps, or we like to reorder things. But God keeps it simple. Like, say yes to me now. Get to know who I am. Yeah. Because, like I said, like I was telling this guy, I think the Lord used this time of seminary so that you can grow closer to Him, so that you can become more aware of who He is, how He operates, and so you become more self-aware, who you are, what you're being called to, stuff like that. But the Lord isn't going to tell you what you're being called to until you start having a better understanding of who He is. Because, like I said before, right, like when people talk about not knowing how, or like not hearing His voice, or thinking that he's abandoned them, or whatever they may say, it's like, no. I mean, do you know His voice? Yeah. Do you know the ways that He operates? Right? Like, do you know that He uses Scripture? Yes. Like I said earlier, open the Bible. Yeah. God's not going to speak to you if you don't open the Bible. It's that simple, right? He uses other people, right? Specifically His priest. Yeah. Right. Like, so are you listening? Are you seeing, like, are you taking in what Father so-and-so has to say about certain scripture passages, or what he says in the homily, or what he says to you in direction, or in the confessional, or stuff like that? And I mean, there's other ways too, like in creation in general too. Right? You look at the night sky, you see all the stars. Yes. And then you come to that reality, like, holy, like, man, God made that for me. Yeah. Right? God didn't just make the stars just to make them. Yeah. He made it for each of us as an offer, like as a gift to us. Right? And then it makes me think back of like Abraham, right? When he had that encounter with God, and He told him, like, look at the stars. Mm-hmm. All the stars that you see are the children you're gonna have, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, yeah. So I mean, once you start seeing that, right? Yeah. Once you start understanding all these ways that God uses things, then it becomes a lot easier for you to say yes when He does call you. So your friend discerning out, it didn't cast any doubts for you at all. No. So you were like, he discerned out, it's good for him, but that's not what's for me. No. So you were okay there. Oh yeah. And I'm happy for him. I mean, I know because he's still studying and stuff, and I think he's studying to be a counselor and stuff like that. So it's good to see that, like, the Lord gave him those 2 years to grow closer to Him, and to continue to weed out some of the, I guess, rough areas in his life or whatever. But he's going to be a good instrument elsewhere, right? Yeah. Like, he's going to be able to interact with people in a way that I can, because he's studying psychology and all that stuff. Okay. Oh, and he'll take that with him. Yeah. It's like, I am not into psychology. Right? Counseling, I'll do counseling in the sense of the priest does it. Yes. But I never once thought about getting like a advanced degree in psychology or anything like that. So God bless him. I told him I'd use him. Another thing that a lot of the priests that have come in and talked with us, that they've talked about, is the pranks that happen in the seminary. Were you involved in any of these pranks? No, man. Were you a victim of any of the pranks? No, thanks be to God, and I hope I never am. Not that I don't mind them. Okay. I just think it's cruel, man. What happened? What there's a couple. Well, the most recent ones, we're actually seeing the videos of Father David Michael.
Yes.
Some of the girls were showing me these videos. I'm just like, y'all, you ladies are horrible. Like, I no longer trust y'all.
I love the video though.
Yeah,
of my favorite one is the one with the teddy bear.
Oh yes,
that's
man, that's so sketchy, man. It's
really?
Like, yeah, like
he was.
Well, first of all, I don't know why he's walking to the office to begin with. I would have just probably walked out because I would have been very mad at these girls for doing what they did to my office. But for some reason, Father David Michael decided he needed to go over there, and that, I mean, he got him.
And then with the glass in his car.
Oh yeah,
that was good. So, but in the seminary itself.
No, nothing.
Really?
I never seen. Let me see. I'm trying to think. At my time at St. Ben's, I don't think there was an actual prank like that.
Okay.
But there were some prior to, like, I think the year before I entered, like, where this one guy.
What'd he do?
So at St. Ben's, there's like different dorms, right?
Okay.
The freshmen or like the first year kids, like the 18-year-old or that age group, they have their own hall and they have common restrooms. So there's this one area in the building where all the restrooms are and showers and stuff are at. And this I think this was during Halloween or around the time of Halloween, around this time, I guess. He decided to dress up like as a gorilla. And he hid in one of the showers. And he's absolutely scared the you know what out of some guys. And I mean,
a gorilla. He was waiting in a gorilla costume in one of the showers.
Yeah, one of the showers, and they opened it. He scared the you know what out of them, and right away, like Father Wallace, our dean of students at that time, he was like, he's the guy you don't want to mess with.
Okay.
Eventually, he goes looking and he hears about this, and so he finds them, and they sit down, they have this conversation. I mean, it's cool, but I would hate to be the guy that got scared. And I never want to put myself in a moment where I have to go talk to Father because I did something stupid.
What about here in Houston? Any pranks?
Nah, not like that. I think the craziest thing we've done as a seminary was getting shirts made of Father Urel, aka Lord Rector. That was cool.
You had T-shirts made,
yeah, with him like in his cowboy hat, and it's pretty cool design. Maybe I'll show it to you one day. But we had this like I don't remember what it was.
Maybe you can put it on social media.
I'm sure it's around. I'm sure people have put it up there. It wouldn't surprise me if some people are selling it. We had this gathering outside.
Okay.
And we all sent emails. So this was like it was an undercover or underground shirt that guys bought and they designed and everything.
Yeah.
And it was a shirt to kind of like commemorate his first year as being the new rector at St. Mary's.
Okay.
And so he shows up to the party. He sees all of us in this shirt, and he's just like, "What the actual?" I don't think he said that, but
yeah, he just looking at everybody. With
and then he saw the
face.
bag. Yeah, he saw his face, and he's like, he's speechless. So that was cool, and it wasn't like as bad as like.
Yeah, it was an innocent. Yeah.
So I mean, I don't think it's ever been anything that crazy, but I'm also not a guy that would think about ways of pranking people. Maybe like hiding their pen on their desk or something like that. But
so what if those girls pranked you?
So you'd be like confession.
So you wouldn't take it the same way Father David Michael
No, I probably
does,
would, but I probably see. That's the thing. My colorful vocab is still around, so I hope they're not recording because they may have to edit out that part.
That's true because I was thinking when I saw Father David Michaels, wow, he didn't curse at all.
Yeah, well, see, but that's he didn't grow up like that, and so. And that's the thing too. Like I have a tendency when I've gotten scared where I want to punch.
Oh.
And so like if that teddy bear was walking up on man, I don't know.
Or a guy in a gorilla costume.
Yeah. Like, probably would have kicked them in an area that they don't want to be kicked at.
A gorilla costume. I can't get over that.
Yeah, that's bad. That's bad.
So you're looking at your year here at St. Faustina and then thinking about going into the seminary and the home stretch that we talked about. What do you expect for the next, couple of years? What are you looking forward to the most? Aside from actually being ordained a priest.
I mean, I would lie if I say I'm excited about certain classes, right? Or I'm excited about class in general because I'm never really been a guy that wants to study more or go to school. I know there's things that I still need to learn, right? Like canon law and certain teachings of the church, going deeper in some of these things. I think more than anything is just continuing to grow closer to the guys that I'm going to be, I guess, on the battlefield with, right?
Yeah.
Like, especially my classmates.
Yes.
Because these are the guys that I'm getting ordained with, not just the guys in Houston, but also the other guys in other dioceses. And developing these friendships with them so that we can spend the rest of our lives together, staying in touch. Who knows, vacationing or going to retreats together or, just catching up. Right? Because, and that's the thing, too. Like, that was something that, now that I look back on it, I was craving in baseball. And so when I saw my brother with his friends in seminary and seeing, Father TJ at my house with some of these other seminarians, now priests or ex-seminarians, what I wanted more than anything was these kind of friendships where I could always be there for a guy and the guy could always...
That camaraderie, that brotherhood of priests.
Yeah. And so, just to continue to grow in that, develop that, grow closer to one another so that we can, because we're all going in the same fight, right? Like, and that was the thing, like in baseball, I kind of had that. I mean, we all wanted to win, right? But different guys, at the end of the day, different guys had different plans, right? Guys were using college to get an education so that when they graduated, they can move on with their lives.
Because not everybody's going to go to major leagues.
Yeah, nobody. Not everybody's pursuing the pros.
Yeah.
Even in high school, right? Like there were guys that I lost contact with most of them, but there were guys that were just doing baseball in high school, but they were never going to pursue it in college. And so, like even in that sense, guys had different reasons for why they were doing what they were doing. We were all together, but they didn't have the same goal or the same mindset that I had. Now with these guys, we all have the same mindset.
You're all going towards the same goal.
We all want to be saints. We all want to bring people closer to Christ. And just be instruments of God's love, of his mercy. Bring people to the Lord.
So now thinking about your, while you're in the middle of your pastoral year, have you any idea of where you'd like to be as a priest? What type of parish? Would you like to be in a growing parish like St. Faustina? Would you like to be in an established parish, one with a school? Have you ever thought about what kind of parish you might want to be in once you get, once you're ordained a priest?
Well, as a parochial vicar, I think anything would work. Like this place would be amazing to be at as a parochial vicar. Especially because by that time we get closer to actually building the church.
Yes.
And like the new building will be done by that point, and like there would be more development here, so it'd be cool to like come back and see how much y'all have grown since my time as a pastoral year seminarian. Something that I think maybe the Lord is drawing me to would be like something maybe like college ministry.
Okay.
Or like working with young adults or working with teenagers. Because like something that I'm really passionate about is like walking with these kids, because they're in such crucial times in their lives, right? Like
yes,
kids in high school, kids in college, they're working towards their career. They're working towards what they're going to do for the rest of their life.
Yes,
like they're making big decisions.
Yes,
and so my thing is like to help them make these big decisions with the Lord present, with the Lord with them, right? Like showing them that they don't have to make these big decisions on their own. That the Lord is actually there waiting to guide you. You just got to say yes. The Lord is pointing towards this path for you. You just got to say yes.
So for your diaconate year, you might want to be someplace with a high school?
I haven't really thought about it. I know Father Richard. So Father Richard McNeely has this. He has this thought that I could be a good prison ministry. I'd be good at prison ministry. I guess he thinks I got some hood, some thug life in me that makes him suggest that I can relate to these guys in a way that other people may not relate, which I'm like, all right, man, that's messed up. So you're basically calling me a thug. You're calling me I don't know, an inmate, whatever you want. Like, all right, cool. I guess I've never done prison ministry, so I don't know what that's like. He's also talked about me possibly doing, like college ministry or something.
Or what about something in between, like perhaps juvenile detention type thing?
I never thought about it. And that's the thing too. I mean, I don't really focus on much of what I can do because I'm really more concerned with the now.
The here and now.
Yeah.
Being here at St. Faustina right now, your pastoral year.
I'm just, I'm receiving what the Lord is giving to me at these at this time, at this year. And I'm just here for the ride, man. Like, I'm just enjoying it. I'm letting the Lord lead, and I do my best to say yes to His will, and just continue to be as much as I can to be a disciple, to be an instrument of His love and His peace.
Going back to your family, how have they taken this whole process of you becoming a priest? Did it catch them off guard of you pursuing the priesthood, or?
Yeah, definitely I would say yes, because if you ask any of my family members, they would say that I was not the most well-behaved. And they probably still think that I don't behave. So
were they surprised that you made it this far?
To be honest, I don't even think they really pay attention. Because most of my family don't really practice the faith. Right? And so they don't know the kind of journey I'm on.
Okay.
Like, they don't know what it means to... They don't know what the process of becoming a priest looks like. They don't know what... they're seeing it, but they don't...
Maybe just your brother.
Yeah, but even then, I'm way past where he was. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, all three of my brothers are supportive. Don't get me wrong.
Okay.
I'm thinking mostly of like my nieces and nephews. They're such in their own world that they're like, oh, well, he's off at school somewhere doing something. Doesn't really concern me. So, and like I said, they don't go to mass. They're not really close or really focused on their faith life. So,
what about your parents? Have they said anything to you about your pursuit of the priesthood?
Yeah, I mean, so at first, my parents were the last people I actually told from the family. Because, for my mom's sake, I'm the youngest, so she has, I guess, I would say, more attachment to me than she does my older brothers, because they're all married, they're older, and I'm the youngest. And so, like, when I took off to Chicago, that really hit her. Like, yeah, she struggled a lot. And so to, like, have to leave her again would have been probably more devastating to her. But even then, now that I look back on it, it's like, yeah, the Lord used Chicago as a way to, like, kind of toughen her up in that sense. Because, yeah, I was going to Louisiana, which isn't as far as Chicago, but she was used to she had already seen what it's like to not have me at home every day.
Okay.
Right. And so, but even then, like, me pursuing priesthood, it was something good, right? It was something like I wanted to give my life to God and not to some other crazy thing. So she was willing to accept that. My dad, that was a different story, because he, like, and this was part of the reason why I wanted to finish my degree, because my brother had such a bad experience with my dad because he was studying to be an engineer at the time. And I think he was around the same, I think we were on the same boat. We were very close to finishing our degree, and we both decided to enter seminary. And so, like, that was a fear that I had as far as applying too. It was like, I don't want to make the same mistake, quote unquote, that my brother did, because he lost his credits towards getting a philosophy degree. And so he has a philosophy degree behind his under his belt, but he doesn't, like, all the engineering stuff that he did, I mean,
it got left behind.
Yeah. And I mean, he probably still knows how to do all this stuff. But he doesn't have a piece of paper to back it up. And so that was something like, all right, don't make the same mistake that he did. Like, just go ahead and finish and then go. You can go. Like, let that be plan B if it has to. But yeah, like I said, I mean, I was very restless in classes. I knew this was not what I wanted, where I wanted to be, what I wanted to do. So I was like, why am I here?
In business class, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so he was definitely the last person I told I was going to seminary.
Your dad.
And it wasn't, and that was the thing too. Like, that was the first time. Well, the second time, because the first time I ever made a big decision on my own without asking for their advice or anything was leaving baseball. So like when I told my parents, I didn't ask them if I could stop playing. I told them, I'm not playing anymore.
I'm done.
Yeah, I'm done. And so that was the first time, and I think that hit my dad pretty hard because our entire lives was just.
Yeah, he had supported you for so long.
He had spent a lot of money on me.
So what was it like when you told him about, entering the seminary?
Well, that was the thing too. So I didn't ask him for permission. I was like, look, I'm going to seminary. I've applied. I've been accepted. I'm leaving in August. I'm like, all right. Well, and so he's like, all right, if that's what you want to do. That was about it.
Okay.
And so he didn't say no, but even if he said no, I mean, I wouldn't have listened.
You had your mindset already.
Oh, yeah.
So looking forward to becoming a priest, what do you look forward to the most?
Oh, man, being with the people, man. To be able to hear their confessions, to be able to celebrate Mass for them, to be able to walk with them in their journey towards marriage or helping them grow in their relationship with the Lord. Working with the kids, right, with the high schoolers. And I mean, look, I am not built for elementary kids. That is a weakness of mine. I do not know how to interact with those kids. So like even now when they try to throw me in CCE or whatever, I'm like, nah, no.
That's not your forte.
It's not.
You're more of the high school kid.
Yeah, because I guess for me it's easier to connect with them.
Okay.
And yeah, like people my age and older, kind of.
But maybe that's something you'll develop.
I mean, it's definitely going to stretch me here, that's for sure. Especially because there's so many young families. Yeah. And I mean, that's the thing too. Like I realize now I have to interact with kids differently than I act with my nieces and nephews.
Yeah.
Because if one of my nieces and nephews annoy me, I could just kind of like flick them off or give them a knock across the head. But I can't do that with Sally's daughter, right? Or Joe's son. So I gotta behave myself. So how do I actually like interact with these kids without saying things or calling them names? Because I call my nephews names, and so I know I can't do that to these kids.
It's a different relationship.
Yeah. So in that sense, yeah, like I don't see myself. I mean, yeah, I want to spend time with the kids and everything, but I think my heart would be more towards helping high school kids, young adults, kids in college, or whatever, however you want to put it, all those, that type. And I get older people too, I guess. The elderly, preparing people for the end of life, right? Like for their death.
Oh.
Those are beautiful moments, right? Like, in the fact, like, I can't give those sacraments yet, like the anointing and stuff like that, but like to be a witness to those moments of, man, it's incredible. Like, I can't wait to do this.
Gets you right there.
Yeah. I was like, man. So, I mean, yeah, I look forward to all of that as a priest, God willing.
Well, we thank you so much for coming on the show, and we wish you the best of luck, and we
thank you very much.
Look forward to the rest of the time that you have here at St. Faustina and beyond. And we can't wait till your ordination to the transitional diaconate and then eventually priesthood.
Yeah, I definitely look forward to it. And God willing, be able to celebrate a Thanksgiving Mass here, just like the other guys have done.
Oh yeah, and we look forward to having you on the show again.
Oh,
in the different the different stages.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
Sounds good.
Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.